So that's boxing at its finest right there. You heard it. They said it. Make that bet. Everything on the line.
Gervonta is an animal for real. Jake is too domestic. Here's the thing, Mike Tyson's an animal too. He was just 60. But he messed around and he got a prime Tank.
Gervonta Tank. Davis is pushing himself harder than ever in training for his fight with Jake Paul. His workouts are intense, packed with non-stop sparring, explosive pad work, and grueling conditioning. With top coaches guiding him, Tank's focus and aggression make it clear he's ready to show that real boxing skill beats celebrity hype. Showbiz The Adult argues that Jake Paul may have made the biggest mistake of his career by challenging Gervonta "Tank" Davis, a fighter in his prime and more dangerous than ever. He points out that Tank has already shown he can take down taller and stronger opponents like Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, proving not just his power, but his adaptability. Showbiz explains that while Jake might think he can repeat the strategy that worked against older names like Nate Diaz, or when he invoked Mike Tyson, this fight is completely different. Tank isn't a past-his-prime legend chasing paydays. He's an elite, active world champion with speed, precision, and knockout power. According to Showbiz, Jake has stepped into a matchup that could reveal the huge gap between an entertainer learning the sport and a true boxing master at the peak of his abilities.
Emotionally, see if he's rattled. See, when it's all said and done, the whole talking shit goes out the window. Jake's scared. And let me tell you this too. I looked at I'm sizing them up. I'm looking at Tank and Jake, and I'm looking at them. Tank can reach him too. He reached Ryan Garcia. He reached Mario Barrios. I was like, he ain't gonna be able to reach him. He's gonna reach him. I saw Tank's gonna reach him. He knows he's gonna reach him. Listen, I wanna say this too. Funny as hell. Before I say all this, Alicia Baumgardner, shout out to you, girl. I couldn't believe out of all the women to be the first one to do 3-minute, 12 rounds is Alicia Baumgardner. Not really knowing if I have a great endurance, great stamina, and she's doing this shit. Shout out to Alicia Baumgardner. Because, what's her name, Layla? I don't really know her like that. But she looks like she ain't rattled by Alicia, so that's a perfect dance partner for that. Trying to drag Alicia Baumgardner into lake water, see what's going on with that. Shout out to Alicia Baumgardner. But let's get back to Tank. First of all, Tank knows what he's doing. Tank Davis, he said, he was just making all these implications that it's going to be scripted. When he said, you're paying me, and then he was like, yo, you're going to have to give me extra, and then he said that this is scripted.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You paying me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
40. What 40 at?
Some boxing experts think Gervonta "Tank" Davis may have taken on a bigger challenge than usual. They warn that Jake Paul's size and natural strength could become a real factor once they're in the ring, while Tank's speed, timing, and knockout power dominate his usual weight classes. Moving up to fight a heavier opponent could push his limits. Analysts stress that weight classes exist for a reason, to keep matchups fair, and crossing them can be risky. Even with Tank's elite skills and killer instinct, facing a naturally bigger and stronger fighter like Jake Paul adds a level of danger that shouldn't be underestimated.
All of a sudden, we want to know, who will win in this fight? Jake Paul or Tank Davis? It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think.
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank's too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank's too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. At weight classes for a reason.
Davis
that weight class for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Dog.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135 pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. that 30-pound, 20, 30-pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30-pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake and Tank.
Everyone who watched Gervonta tank, Davis at the press conference noticed how calm, composed, and confident he was. Unlike Jake Paul, who thrives on provocation and spectacle, Tank stayed focused and unshaken, showing the discipline of a fighter who knows exactly what's at stake. His confidence wasn't loud. It was quiet, controlled, and built on years of top-level experience. For Tank, this fight isn't about fame or social media buzz. It's about proving that skill, patience, and ring intelligence define true boxing greatness. Every word and glance carried purpose. While Jake played to entertain, Tank showed professionalism and determination, reminding everyone that champions don't need chaos to shine. They rely on preparation, precision, and belief. The press conference made one thing clear. Tank Davis is ready to fight, not perform.
Want this, or I like this when I heard it? No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter. He can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else that just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have the bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if? What if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air. Bang! And he hits him. Sid Terrace was a great fighter. No, not the 1700s, but years ago. And Cus D'Amato told me he loved Sid Terrace. He said, Teddy, he used to jump up in the air and hit you with 3 jabs. I said, whoa, man, Sid Terrace. All right. Anyway, look, I can't finish without saying that it did invoke some memories and thoughts that we've been here before in a different way, where Jake Paul's brother fought Mayweather. That's not forget. And I'm not saying I like that either.
Teddy Atlas, a respected boxing analyst, compares Jake Paul's upcoming fight with Gervonta Tank Davis to Logan Paul's exhibition with Floyd Mayweather. He notes that while Jake may have a size and reach advantage, experience will likely determine the outcome. Atlas points out that Davis has spent years perfecting his craft at the highest level, developing instincts and composure that can't be taught. Unlike Logan's cautious approach against Mayweather, Jake will be facing a relentless fighter who knows how to capitalize on every mistake. According to Atlas, Tank's ring intelligence and timing could completely neutralize Jake's power and physical advantage.
So in that sense, it's a little bit different. It's not different in the sense of a boxer in his prime or relative prime straying off the path, but this one is not. It's not like someone else, in a similar weight. It's like completely the opposite, and so that makes it, I think, look and feel weird. And then on top of it, obviously, Gervonta's got other business to handle. He looked to me, Gervonta, absolutely, completely disinterested. Even at the beginning of this year, and even at the pre-fight Lamont Roach stuff, Tank was talking about how much time he has left in boxing, and he was sort of wasn't much. you know, I mean, the Lamont Roach fight, I mean, it blew up in his face, but Lamont Roach was cherry picked. You know, I think Tank thought, oh, I'll just fight another guy from, you know, the Mid-Atlantic area who's, you know, remember Roach came up from 30 to 35 to fight him, and Tank thought he was just going to cruise, and then it blew up in his face, and, you know, you're left with that. So, like, you're making a point about, like, oh, he's got this obligation. That's true, but he was already fucking around. He was already taking opponents that, again, I think Roach showed everyone that was a mistake, but put yourself in Tank's mind. Tank was taking a fight against someone he was clearly, in his mind anyway, better than, and was just going to cruise. So he was already in that state. Then you marry that with statements like, you know, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I'm worried about going to therapy because it'll take away my competitive edge. And, you know, kind of teetering on the edge a little bit about, like, whether or not this is a thing he wants to do. Then he, you know, there's a draw in that fight.
Analyst Luke Thomas offered a thoughtful perspective on Gervonta "Tank" Davis as he prepares to face Jake Paul. While he acknowledged Tank's incredible knockout power and sharp finishing instincts, Thomas noticed a different side of him this time, more composed, quieter, and reflective. This wasn't nervousness, but a mature awareness of the fight's significance. Thomas says this new demeanor shows a fighter who sees the bout as more than just money or fame. It's about protecting his legacy, representing real boxing, and standing up against the rise of celebrity fighters. Thomas explained that this mental shift often happens when athletes realize they're part of something bigger than a single fight. The challenge isn't just physical, it's psychological, testing focus, patience, and emotional control under pressure. For Tank, that calm seriousness could either be his greatest asset or his biggest obstacle. If he channels it correctly, it could enhance his precision and timing. If not, the weight of expectations might slow him down. Either way, Thomas believes this mental evolution reveals a deeper side of Gervonta Davis, a fighter determined to show that skill and discipline can still triumph over fame and size.
Left hand down the pipe. You can even see here, I'm not even trying to do the whole body language breakdown, but you can even see Tank could get under that left hand because he's 5'0". He could roll under that left hand, and here comes the brick hand over the top. If he lands something like that in 10 ounces, I'm going to tell you this. Jake's 200 and something pounds. That's still going to hurt at the very least, and who knows what, because Tank's got ridiculous power. So Jake, he's a little sloppy on the push there. He got pushed. He wanted to get it back. There's something to be taken away from that, but lines up perfectly for a counter left hand. And you even see his promoter here is kind of grabbing his left hand because Tank wanted to let it fly. And Jake backed up a little bit. He said, oh, and Tank comes with that. Tank, man. Tank said, where I'm from, the bullies get bullied. All right, dude, there you go. Listen, takeaways from this thing, I don't know. Tank seemed to have a little bit more energy today. He seemed to be more lively. Him going back and forth with the media, with Jay Leon, with Jake, with Aiden Ross. There seemed to be a bit more energy today. That's all I really asked for. So in terms of, you know, selling us on something, sure. Better job today from both guys. Jake, you know, seemed a bit more locked in here with Tank as well. They had a little bit more fun. Tank going after Nakisa was pretty funny. But listen, this doesn't change anything in my mind. The 10-ounce gloves doesn't really change anything to me. I mean, again, I think that's a bad idea for Tank, more so because even if Jake doesn't land clean, those are 10-ounce gloves. It's still going to hurt. Tank is still punching in gloves that are 2 ounces heavier than he normally uses, so I don't know how that's a win for him. The $2 million bet almost certainly won't happen, which I didn't think would in the first place, but Tank pretty much confirmed it. And we're all left with the same kind of idea that we thought about this to begin with. This is an entertainment exhibition that we know is going to draw a ton of eyeballs. I'm going to watch, and there's going to be great high-level competition boxing on the underneath card. And even in the main event, if something is to happen, if someone is to get knocked out, it will go mega viral, and both these guys are going to make a shit ton of
promoter Nakisa. Badarian added more intrigue to the fight by revealing key details about its official rules. He confirmed that both Jake Paul and Gervonta "Tank" Davis will use 10-ounce gloves, a choice that immediately got fans and analysts talking. Usually, heavier fighters use bigger gloves to reduce the impact of punches, so choosing smaller gloves favors speed and precision over extra protection. Since Jake has a size advantage, the smaller gloves help level the playing field and make exchanges even more dangerous. Badarian's announcement shows how carefully the fight has been planned to balance spectacle with fairness, giving both fighters equal risk. It also raises excitement, as the lighter gloves promise a faster, more explosive battle where every punch could change the outcome.